Good morning. Day 21 on the trail. Sorry. And hang on, my mittens. My finger's exposed. It's not that cold, but my hands are still cold from packing up. That was hard. All right. First quarter mile leaving the shelter has been an uphill. Plans for today are to make the next shelter. I think it's 9.2 miles. It's going to be up and down terrain. One decent climb, but a lot of littler ones. Trail's nice, well graded. A little chilly. Got down to about 39 last night. Still hovering around that now. I think it's 41. Got to the shelter. There's a vet there with his dog. Cute little lap dog. Very friendly. Whose name was Ranger. So I thought I'd mention it. Of course, if you've been following all my videos, you know that's my dog's name and where I took my trail name from. So, very interesting. Or nice anyway. But of course it makes me regret not bringing my dog along. But as I've mentioned before, he's 100 pounds. Oh, look at the burls on that tree. He's 100 pounds. He can carry about 5 to 6 days of his food. I carry his bedroll and his sleeping pad. And any extra food. Heck, I'm not even enjoying carrying my own food. But logistics wise, I'd have to kennel and shuttle him by the Smokies and the Shenandoahs. Then in town, taking them in town. Some places don't want dogs. And the other trouble, finding a consistent brand of food available. I mean, I get into town, I'd have to go probably more to big towns, like no place at the knock would have had dog food or anything like that. So, I think I made the right decision, logistics wise. But I miss my pup. He's very fun to hike with. Always likes to be up ahead, waits at trail junctions, stops when he sees somebody up ahead, waits for me to tell him what to do. So he's pretty good. He's got pretty good trail etiquette. Gets a little excited when other dogs are on the trail. But, and then always the worry about how he'll react if he saw something like a bear. So, which we've never encountered as of yet. plus his 100-degree body temperature, cuddled next to you. Well, he has his own quilt, but still nice to have with you. All right, before I enter this green jungle here, I'm going to close out so I can get to hiking. Came across this, thought you might like it. So the tree, and it's got a couple patches of ferns growing out of. Yeah, interesting. Some more on this tree over here. If I can get you a view through. And over here, going on that burl, or that old branch. Very interesting. That's level. That's the trail up to Chihuahua Bald. But we're almost there, and hopefully it'll be a great view, and I'll bring it to you. Made it to the top of Chihuahua Bald. Yeah, looks like it was mowed. Maybe they've been keeping it. I don't know. I don't see any tall shrubs and everything looks cut, so I'm going to assume they mowed this. Anyway, there's the view. Let me give you a little zoom action here. Beautiful. Camper says there's a view on the other side, so I'll try to bring you that. They says it's not as clear as it was yesterday. But right. And the bolt. Bolt's a little been stepped on a few times. It's hard to make out the writing.
That's one of my favorite apps.
Here's the
I
view
saw someone use it last year.
from the opposite side of Chihuahua Bald. Let me get a little zoom in here. There we go.
Man, which bald was it? I can't remember. I want to say maybe even Standing Indian. It was a bald though, because you could see out. But anyway, somebody told us about that app. And we were like, what?
Yeah, it's a good one.
I won't disturb you guys.
No,
Yeah.
it's all good. I'm Sue.
No disturbance. I'm Lou.
Lou.
Sue and Lou?
Yeah.
Very cool. I'm up here with my first cousin Seth. And
Oh, nice.
You guys are through hiking?
Yeah.
Cool, we are too. So.
All right.
Nice, yeah.
We'll see you.
All right.
See you another spot.
Wow. Coming down from Chihuahua Bald, there's this patch, got a bunch of yellow birch here. Coming down from Chihuahua Bald, there's this patch of yellow birch. Remember, yellow birch is a shade-tolerant tree. It's got a little yellowish tint compared to paper birch, and it's not as curly a bark. Easy way to tell is if you scratch the bark on a twig. It has a wintergreen smell. There's only 2 birches that have that, yellow birch and sweet birch. That is the basis for making birch beer. Beautiful trees. Climax species. They grow up under the shade till they reach maturity, and they can they'll hang out with the other climax species till something happens to disturb the area. So it's still going down. Occasionally get these patches of rhododendron. Leaves are still in the downward position, so it means it's still pretty cold. I haven't checked the thermometer in a while. Alright, this is too steep. I gotta put this away. And that's not... There we go. Hello, everyone. Little surprise for you. We're hiking up past Chiolo Bald, and look who I found. Hiking with Braids right on the trail. She's out to do
The Birch
Trail.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so it was a nice surprise. We chatted for a little while. She's just as peppy and happy as she was when she was in her videos. So
maybe more so.
It was right. She had some miserable times, but she stopped and chatted with us, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, best
Good
of
luck
luck
to
to you both.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right. All right, we made it to Simp Gap. Still got more to go to get to the shelter. The person in the previous clip, hiking with Braids, she was a 2020 Thru-hiker. He was followed by quite a number of people, and she did very well. She toughed out a lot of tough situations, and my hat goes off to her for finishing what was a difficult trek, but it was quite a surprise to see her hiking and getting a chance to chat with her. So visit her and follow her adventures on hiking with Braids on YouTube. Weird looking tree. Grapevine. There's another one right there. Look at that size of that snake. That vine grew up with that tree. There's a nice stealth spot. If you got water, I'd camp there. But not today. We still gotta go down at the Sassafras Gap. I heard some cars driving not too long ago, so I'm gonna guess it's it down there with all those buildings. I think that was the height of land, the last height of land, until we get down to the gap. But who knows? Yesterday my ankle was pretty good. For most of today it was. But the last mile has been hurting. I think I figured out what motions aggravate it. The unfortunate part is it's hard to avoid them. Thought I saw something interesting, but it was just a very light colored stump. Going downhill like this hurts it, my ankle. And taking long strides where at the end of the stride, just before I lift my foot off the ground, when my foot is, how do you say, the angle between the top of my foot and my shin bone is the smallest. The other thing that hurts it is on a side hill or even in a trail that has a U shape, if the outside of my left foot is higher than the inside of my foot, so that the muscles, ligaments, tendons on the outside of the ball of my ankle, the ankle joint, on the bottom of that ball, when they get compressed, that hurts. So I kind of been trying to avoid that by walking with my left foot dead center in the bottom of the U shape of the trail. But when it becomes hard is when we're following a trail along the side of a hill and the left side is higher than the right side. The trail almost always has a slope. Sorry about that. I got poked in the eye by a twig watching the trail, not where my head is. So a slope like this isn't bad because it doesn't raise the outside of my left foot. But if the slope were, if I were walking the other way, where the higher slope is to my left, that's when it aggravates my ankle. Sorry, don't mean to be complaining. Just going with what thought comes to mind. Oh, you can hear some trucks down in the gap. All right. I'm going to close up here because it looks like it's going to get steeper, and I want to use both poles. Okay. Got room?
Look at the size of that thing. That must be
That's
huge.
half.
All right.
That's full size. And this tree looks like the branch came down, rooted, and then grew. Interesting stuff.
Goes back for miles.
Big rock cleaved off and left a little space underneath. I had a quick switch so I wouldn't show you Mark's face. Mark's here from Ireland doing the trail, hoping he can get most of it done before he has to go back. Ran across some striped maple here. You can see it's got a, striped maple here. It's got a greenish bark with some white lines in it. Let me see if I can get it on magnification for you. Okay. Now, one thing I wanted to show everyone earlier, I was unable to do it because I couldn't focus in, but this might give me the opportunity. One way to group trees into different groups that make it easier to narrow down the identification is the way the branches come off the stems. If you look at this one, see at this section, the branches that come off are directly opposite each other, as opposed to alternate, where it's one side, it comes out here one side, then goes up, it comes out this one side, then this side. So if you can get to identify whether the branches are opposite or alternate, you can group them. The only trees that have opposite branches like this are maples, ashes, dogwoods, horse chestnut, and the viburnum family, which are mostly shrubs. So, and their family name is Caprifoliaceae. So the easy mnemonic device to remember is mad cap horse. M for maple, A for ashes, D for dogwoods, mad cap for Caprifoliaceae, the viburnum family, and horse chestnut. So by seeing this, I already know it's a maple, ash, or dogwood, but I know with the striped maple it's green. Up in New York, you get the green, but the stripes are much whiter, but maybe it's just the time of year here that they're not showing up as well. There's a whole bunch of them here, and maybe I can show you an alternate branch. Here's one. This is alternate branching. See if I can get it in focus. It's hard because the camera wants to focus everywhere else. But you have a branch here, nothing there. Then you got what was a branch here, a branch here, a branch here. That's alternate branching. And all the other trees have that, are alternate. So, opposite, maples, ashes, dogwoods. Alternate, all the others, birches and such. See? Look at this one. This side, nothing here. This side, okay. And of course, you can look at the leaf scars. Oh, sorry, out of focus. Can't get stuff like that up close. Coming out of Sassafras Gap, had a quick little snack, and we're on the trail on the uphill side. We got 2.4 miles to Brown Fork Shelter, which is where we're planning on stopping. Whether we go past it or not, I don't know. We do have to want to set up a day where we can get into Fontana in the early afternoon, or not too late, because they have a shuttle that stops running at 5 that picks you up at the trail and takes you into town. So we may push on a little past the shelter, but it's been getting kind of dark, so we're thinking it might be raining tonight. So the shelter might be the best deal. Keep us dry until at least morning, when we have to hike in rain the rest of the day. So we're moving upward. Slow grade, which is nice. Coming up in a while is a section called Jacob's Ladder, which is supposed to be tough. Just asked somebody in the gap, and they said it's just a series of switchbacks. That's the view from the trail. Probably up about 150 feet above the roadway, 200 feet. I don't know, I walk around these and I instinctively lean toward the uphill side. I don't know why. Alright, gotta climb up that little bit. Let me get to it. We're walking a ridge from the climb, from the peak. That was at the top of the climb from Sassafras Gap. So it should be pretty smooth walking before we go down a descent to the shelter. I haven't been filming much because my camera's running low. And there's been the downs and the ups have been pretty steep. So we're probably going to stay at the shelter. We thought about pushing on further, but I know I would rather just have a long day tomorrow into town. Might get up early so that we can have a little extra time, make something to eat in the dark, and pack up and go. And I think it's 10, maybe 11 mile day to the Route 28, where we can catch a trolley or shuttle into town. Oh, you're gonna torture us with one more bump up. I'll catch you on the downside as we approach the shelter. Sorry, just checking something out. Thought I heard something. I have no idea what that is. Interesting bark. This big old oak over here. There's a red oak. For those of you, it's hard because all the lichens and the algae and moss that grow on these trees. But the way to tell a red oak is if the flat parts of the bark ridges looks like ski trails up there, that makes a red oak. Haven't been able to find a good example of it. So if you look up the top half of the tree and the main trunk and the big branches look like they have, like looking at a hillside with ski trails, that's your red oak. Oi. All right, let me close out and get to hiking. This is Brown Forks Shelter. I don't want to get any closer because then I'll show people who don't want to be filmed. But anyone who's pitched a tent has pitched it pretty much in a slant of unbelievable. Anyway, there's a lot of people here. The shelter's going to be filled with 8 people. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then down 8 tents. So for some reason this is busy today. I don't know what made them pick the spot to build it. I guess the spring, but could use some more tent sites for sure. This is kind of the last stop before you get to Montana, so that's why everyone's packed here. that's it for tonight, and I'll see you in the morning.